Alright, happy new moon in Leo. I've got a tarot and oracle card reading for you. My name is Sarah. Welcome to my channel. My readings are general. They are very open. They definitely require that you kind of flex your discernment. Please just take what is resonant for you and feel free to leave the rest. I am filming this on the day of the new moon in Leo. It isn't specifically a new moon in Leo reading, just by the way. Yeah, there's some information in my description box that's quite kind of helpful if you are completely sort of new to tarot. That is all. Gonna get into it. Get right in. So, okay. Just like settle myself a little bit. Okay, so I think there is a very sort of like sweet message here that it took me a little while to get to. Took me a little while to get to. I had to go out for a walk, and just sort of get it, you know, sort of clear in my head or something. I've got notes here, so excuse me, that's why I'm looking. I think, right, with the world came out in the main cards of the spread, right? And the star was on the split. When I just sort of split the deck randomly, it was the star. And I did that because I just wanted a bit more context, or just because sometimes I look at too many cards and confuse myself. So the world and star. There is something like really world stage about this, right? The world and the star. The world and the star. So it's coming through with this real like world stage sort of energy. The star also is associated with like Aquarian energy. So Aquarius as an archetype is very sort of humanitarian, very, you know, kind of collective. It's very expansive. It's an air sign, so it's got this real sense of like quite big scale collective, like world thing going on. But then in the other cards of the spread, there is this sort of personal, or well, it's coming through with a bit more of a personal kind of, you know, like not the world stage. Like this is here. So this idea of world stage. Yeah, okay. So the card that came out with the world was this Page of Fire, this Valet Baton, right, which came out in a previous reading. in the previous reading, I think I'm gonna pause. And I went through the entire reading it as the Knight of Wands. But here it is. It's the Valet, it's the Page of Wands. So it's coming through with this like this energy of like coaxing or something being coaxed out, like encouraged, because it's like it's got this smallness to it. It's like it's a very sweet nature. It's communicating this sweet nature that is perhaps it's just got this smallness to it, like it's sweet, it's coming through as a very sweet energy. Yeah, like the idea of like gentle elation. And like when I sat with the card, it had this kind of buoyancy to it, right? Because this world is depicted as, I was just getting like the vibe of a hot air balloon with this. So there's this idea of lightness and buoyancy and kind of gentle elation. But this is big world energy. This is where the kind of the more personal, or like an individual, or you know, a type of person, whatever. So yes. Right. So in my meditation, I got sweetness spoken into the air. It's endearing. It's just got a very endearing quality to it. There's a sweetness that, and there's some kind of communication. And because the figure has got this flower in the mouth, it's like it's likely something spoken. But right, smallness, and I was talking about like the idea of kind of world stage. I mean, it maybe doesn't have to be as broad as like the world, the planet. It could be like a smaller world, right? A personal world, or a kind of social group, or a place like that. But this sweetness, and it's very endearing. It's very endearing, but it's gentle. Sweetness spoken into the air. So sweetness spoken because sweet is indeed what it is, but there's a sourness. And then the idea of like dictomy, again, like the contrast between two things. And I've written make or become more difficult. Both sweet and sour, so it's tasty, like a complementary combo. Right, and there's the idea of like good news and good ideas as well with the Page of Wands, like good ideas and good news likely being on the way, right, on the world stage. On the world stage, new ideas, things likely on their way. And also admirable new acquaintances that may surprise or delight. But there was also this, sometimes no news is good news, and announcements and unsolicited advice can increase anxiety, not a good result. Increase in anxiety, not a good result. So there was also this idea of like imploring, like imploring. And the idea of smallness that I'm communicating, because it is partly that, right? This idea of like very gentle, very sweet, and it's maybe something that's just kind of being coaxed or encouraged out of somebody. But there's also this idea, because I was really, really sort of looking at the mask when I was sat with the card, and it's this kind of idea of like, don't look too much. Like, don't look too much. But it's like, that's the personal thing, right? That's this kind of other thing. It's not what's being communicated on the world stage. Right? World stage is very, suggests obviously, I mean, it is just big, isn't it? Big. So it's like there's a lot. Don't look too much. Don't look too much. But it's a sweet message, right? It's like that. There's a lot of sweetness here. What am I getting at? What am I getting at? Oh, right, okay. So, endearing, coax, something's being coaxed out. There's an idea that somebody is more shy than they appear to be. So if they're appearing in this energy, it's like it's like it gives an impression that they are, well, it's like it doesn't really necessarily give an accurate impression. And there's something here about like this Page of Wands communicating on this world stage, who is kind of simultaneously looking or telling people, telling you to don't look too much. There's a lot, it's everywhere. Don't look too much. And it's got something to do with like the idea of persona, right, with masks. Like masks. So it's like it's something about impressions, like not, they don't want you to get the wrong impression by looking too much. They don't want you to get the wrong impression because world stage, I don't, it's not like it doesn't feel like persona in that necessarily someone's kind of acting in this, although perhaps, right, it is kind of the idea of, or it's like a version or a mode that somebody's in this energy or in this setting. And but there's this kind of sweeter, like, it's coming through with a bit of shyness of like, don't look too much, because what impression, it's like there's a concern for what impression will be garnered from it, perhaps. Or yeah, it's like getting to know someone personally and then getting to know an aspect of them on a world stage, or just in some bigger kind of situation. And it's like they're saying, don't look too much at that, because there is perhaps like just, I mean, maybe they're shy, right? Maybe they're shy about it, but also it's kind of I don't want you to get the wrong impression. I think it's like they're just very different, right? So they don't want you to look at it too much. Because that's that about like announcements and unsolicited advice. It's not necessarily that, like those specifically those things, but there's something about like them being concerned about like an increase in anxiety, like, and I've written next to that like not a good result, like for whoever can see them, if they are seeing them too much through a particular lens or on a particular kind of well, what this represents, right? Or perhaps they feel anxious because they don't want a bad result, but it's like it's more personal. Right? Like world stage, personal life. Like professional aspect or very public aspect, private, personal aspect. So like with the world, I got the number 47, which basically just it may or may not be something to do with the actual number 47, but to me that kind of communicates something that when you saw it, it guided you and it reassured you, and then with that same symbol, that same thing, then becoming uncertain about what it meant. So that's just what 47 communicates to me personally, right? But just it's like something that was reassuring and held some kind of meaning and perhaps sort of guided, and then sort of not really knowing what to make of it. So something that was supportive becoming confusing. So, but I think that's what the like don't look too much is about as well, right? Don't look too much, don't look at too much. Let what you see be supportive. Don't you don't want to be in a position where you're mistrustful of it, or you're kind of confused, perhaps. It's the World card, right? it's like the flowers here, and the flowers of the page. It's like there's something that's kind of bigger, not a bigger deal. It's just, it's different, right? It's bigger. It's bigger, represented by the world. And then there are these flowers and this kind of wand that's lit. It's like there's something else, and that is what this quiet or this more shy or this very sweet, that it's represented by these flowers. It's like the page is is communicating that they don't look too much. It's like perhaps you can't help but see it, but don't look too much. Right? Might be something that somebody is quite sort of bound to. I mean, the World card is Saturnian energy, right? It's Earth, but it's more positive Saturnian energy. It's not really Saturn, who ate all his children because he was worried that they were gonna get his throne or whatever. It's much more positive, but it's elemental Earth, right? The world. So it is, yeah, it's something that is perhaps a bit of a burden, but like they're capable of carrying it, or they're skilled, they're strapped in. But it's like, because of the hot air balloon, it's like there's an element of risk to it, or there's an element of risk to something. I think that's what the thing. It's like, is there an element of risk? Is the element of risk something more personal? Are they not wanting to risk something personal? I feel like this one's like, yeah. So they're like, shh, don't look too much. So the world, the creators of the deck, at some sort of fulfillment in a place in time, space, or a journey. However we pass from one world to the next, we do so having achieved the completion of a cycle. The more momentous the cycle, the more likely its conclusion to be the end of an era. And I've written symbiosis, adaptation, renewal, mutually beneficial relationships. So there is, right, so it's that whatever's going on this much wider world stage you're on, mutually beneficial relationships. There's renewal, there's symbiosis, there's adaptation, there's some kind of big cycle, successfully completed, something's been attained, and with the star it might be quite a high level of attainment. But it's a kind of a very healthy, successful completion. It might just be something that keeps rolling as well, right? So something's really taking off. Hot air balloon, something's really taking off. Stars rising, right? The star's rising. The star is rising. Right, so in that, there's lots of symbiosis, there's lots of renewal, lots of mutually beneficial relationships. Stars rising, right? The world also talks about leveling up and achieving completion. not in conquest but collaboration. So yeah, those mutually beneficial relationships. And it talks about integration and involvement as well. Inextricably interdependent. So it's really collective, is this. Really hugely, massively collective, world stagey sort of vibe. Take pleasure in how we can all share with joy and equity the burden of carrying the world forward in regeneration and rebirth. Oh, maybe I need to stop talking about these cards. Should I put them down? Do you think that's like a sign? Okay, we'll go to the next one, which is this. Win-win. Win-win. It's win, bliss, comfort. It's number 8. So yeah, in my meditation, I was just like, oh, win. Win, win, win. Like win-win. Right, and then I wrote take comfort in. Take comfort in the words, what's communicated. It's the same. Look at the colours here. Look at the colours. So there's something, look, where this page, whatever they're communicating, on a much broader one, and then this kind of possibly more personal, sort of smaller scale one, it like they're words of comfort, or comfort can be found in them. I also got in my meditation, like, why you worry? Why you worry? But it felt more like a question. Why you worry? It was quite sort of gentle, you know, like, why do you worry? Why do you worry? Why you worry? Why you worry? Like, because win-win. Win-win. There's not really, is there not really the need to be concerned? Right, in the don't look too much. Concerned perhaps about what sort of impression they're making on someone or some people, because the world stage thing is different from who they are personally. I hope I've made that point reasonably clearly, right? So there's some kind of desire on their part for people to not look too much at the world stage, because they don't want them to get the wrong impression, or they don't want them to just that, right? Okay. But why you worry? Why do you worry? What point was I going to make there? What was I going to say? It's win-win. There's something about, like, it's win-win. So, like, whatever impression is being made, it's not going to be the wrong one. It's not like a dishonest, it's not a dishonest sort of, that's why I was a bit like, ooh, about using the word persona. It's like, it's not dishonest, it's not like inaccurate, or yeah, it's not like a dishonest, it's not a dishonest person. But it's something about like win-win. Something about drinking in all the bliss that alignment offers. It's one of the things that's on the card. It's like there is alignment. Something about enjoying it. That keeps coming through, but like it might be hard maybe for someone to enjoy. Maybe that's what's kind of being coaxed out and encouraged in them by people that they're surrounded by on the world stage and otherwise, right? It's like trying to perhaps encourage them to enjoy things a bit more. Might be perhaps a bit of a risk for them to do that. Or it might feel a bit risky for them to do that, maybe. I mean, it's like they're looking very much like they are of this bliss energy. So whatever they're doing, I mean, to be fair, whatever they're doing, if they're coming out with the world and the stars here, like that's pretty fucking aligned, is that? that's pretty, they're in alignment in an earthly sense and in a cosmic sense. On some level, in some way, you know, that's like big energy. Or it's confirming that, oh, okay, because the world stage is the world stage. A lot of fucking people on the world stage, isn't there? You're like, why? So, right. Okay, they're more aligned with it than they perhaps realise that. There's an aspect of it that suits them, right? It suits them. Because all these same colours, it's like there's a star quality, right? There's a star quality. There's something. Maybe that's what's being coaxed out as well. And I don't mean star quality necessarily as like, you know, whatever the fuck I meant by that, you know what I mean, like star quality. I just think, I mean, there's some kind of special quality that they have that suits the particular stage or environments that they're finding themselves in. Maybe they don't feel very comfortable. Maybe they don't feel very comfortable with it. I don't know how comfortable they feel in it, but there's something that I think there is like an aspect of their energy, right, that kind of matches it. But perhaps they're also more blissed out when they're comfortable, which might be in different environments. Okay, I don't know. Did I write anything else? Right, so the next card I actually was this Seven of Swords, which, right, there's something as well. So there's an astrological transit. It's the Sun in opposition to Pluto that I think happens tomorrow. But that's definitely like an opposition in astrology is like a bit of a kind of push-pull, tug-of-war. It's a bit like one of the more challenging aspects. So the Sun, yeah, Pluto came up in the last reading. Pluto, you know, god of the underworld. and the sun is like a luminary, so they're very they're very opposite kind of archetypes. With this 7, I don't know, tired and hungry today, so the 7 of Swords, the thing that I got with this, the first thing in my meditation was parting of the Red Sea. Parting of the Red Sea. Right, so the idea of like a pivotal event. I have to always kind of look up like Bible references because I'm not familiar with them at all, but the parting of the Red Sea is in the book of Exodus. And it was about, wasn't it, Moses parting the sea to make way for people to cross. Apparently there was a strong eastern wind involved in that. So the cardinal direction for air is actually east. So that's interesting. But it's that parting of the Red Sea. This came out with the 2 of Cups. Look at that synchronicity in the image there, in the images. Parting of the Red Sea, a pivotal event. The word Exodus means mass departure. And then I've written down here deliverance and protection. Returned to through liberation and release. So then I've written here like the word belie. So belie, of an appearance, failed to give a true impression of something. So do you see what I mean? And then the 7 of Swords is a bit of an energy of kind of secrecy, secret plans. It can be deceptive, but that, you know, secrecy is often not bad actually, right? So it might be the idea of privacy that I mentioned over here, like the idea of privacy. Belie, of an appearance, fails to give a true impression of something. There's something, I've already said that, haven't I, about like worried about, or there's some kind of, not necessarily like a preoccupation, but there's something about being aware of or concerned of what kind of impression is being given, but I think in a particular kind of way. So the belie, if an appearance failed to give a true impression of something. It is, man, isn't it? It just feels like a kind of public or like work persona, or there's just or something like that, but it's world and star. It's like there is an awareness that it doesn't give a true impression of somebody who is kind of operating within it. As they operate within it, they are aware or they are concerned that it doesn't give a true impression of themselves, of their of their life, maybe. Of their life. It doesn't give a true impression of their life. And they might be worried, oh, okay, judgment, like there might be, right, they are. I think there is some, because of the whole, why you worry? I think there's some concern that, right, that like people might make their own kind of judgments about how they are, who they are, how they live, what they live like, maybe. And it's like if somebody gets the wrong impression of them, then it could be harmful to carefully laid plans with the Seven of Swords. It's like they want to do something, they're keeping it stum. It's not public. It's not world stage want to do something. They want to do something. I think I'm being very long in communicating. They want to do something that matters to them personally, or it's just a different thing than whatever this world star energy represents for them. And they are perhaps, or likely, a little bit concerned about the impression, right? Because they're visible, they're publicly visible in some way to somebody or to some people that don't know them. They're worried about how some kind of plan will be affected. That's why they're saying, like, don't look too much. Don't look too much. Yeah, there's also with this though, there's like a promise of much more to reap. A promise of much more to reap. But that's got something to do with the plan, is that? Promise of more to reap. They don't want you to get the wrong impression, whoever it is. Like they're a bit worried. So don't look too much. The Seven of Swords came out, as I've just shown, haven't I, because of the what the fuck, or the green. The Two of Cups was talking about like reciprocity and opposition, right? So that's why I've just mentioned the Sun and Pluto. Like there's this kind of push and pull, but there's a reciprocity to it. There's a reciprocity, push and pull. It's like a mutual engagement, a mutually beneficial kind of push and pull, yeah? It's like engagement. If there's push and pull, there's an investment of energy from two different sources, isn't there, at least? Push and pull. There's that investment of energy, and it's reciprocal. It's responsive, right? It's responsive, push and pull. But this, interestingly, this was like, I don't know if it is actually the head of a jackal, but it was bringing in the head of a jackal, which is the Egyptian god Anubis' symbol, right? The Red Sea parting of. But jackals are kind of symbolic of like adjusting to changing circumstances and environments. And in folklore, they're often associated with like cunning and like being able to outsmart others. Bit of a trickster vibe. Very clever, very mercurial. Very fucking mercurial trickster energy, generally. So the plan. Sharp focus brings plans to fruition. Reciprocity and opposition. There was something about the cups intermingling, and they were, in my meditation they were doing it in like a figure of 8 shape, which takes me back to this win-win, win-win. Reciprocity, figure of 8, back and forth. Reciprocity in opposition is the position, right? That's just kind of what's going on now. That's like the energy. Cosmic as well, right? It's like, there's the idea of a portal here. The underlying energy for that deck was pawn, Orn, right? Which means thorn, portal, giant. It's about pathways. It's like daring you to go through a portal. But it's a very similar symbol in this card. So it's like, yeah. It was like a bit of a dare. Like, dare ya. Dare ya. It's win-win. Dare ya. It's win-win. I've put as well, like, adding a bit of bite to a dynamic. Like, bite harder, get your teeth into. Right? Which means kind of really sort of get into something, isn't it? Like, but get your teeth in. Right, but there was this idea as well of being in two minds about, I think, right, this is either what a worry is for somebody. A bit in a sense of like, if you look too much, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of different stuff. So a bit of like information overload, or it's going with 2 of wands coming up, 2 of cups. It might make some kind of choice like more difficult, or it might just, yeah, it might make something harder in some respect. It could induce some uncertainty and indecision, I've written here. Now, this isn't a card, this isn't energy, is not an energy of uncertainty and indecision. It's very reciprocal, it's very balanced, it's very kind of mutual, right? The 2 of Cups. The essence of generous and happy partnership, I've written down here. The sharing of fluids between people is the essence of generous and happy partnership. I think either, right, I don't quite know which it is, whether somebody is sort of trying to avoid kind of overexposure, so a plan or something that they want, right, something that they're wanting to do, some kind of plan that relates, I think, to something a bit more personal or a bit more private, doesn't get sort of ruined or spoiled, right? So they're a bit worried about that. Or I don't know whether it's like, if that's kind of maybe what's happening, or Because the idea of the Red Sea, she's got a red head here. It's like the idea of like Red Sea, red head, like two minds, being in two minds, something kind of coming in and putting someone in two minds about something. Uncertainty and indecision. The makers of this deck write, ceremony and protocol will often find us sipping from our glass in the presence of another, who we would much rather be tasting on our lips than the wine. You will soon be feeling thirsty and quenching your thirst. And it's funny with Temperance here. Cover up the boob because of YouTube. Temperance, there is, and they sort of explicitly say about not getting intoxicated with the, which obviously is a very specific meaning for Temperance, but you don't, it's not usually communicating that specifically in tarot, to be fair, but it does with this deck, but more in the sense of like keeping a clear mind so you don't get confused, maybe so you don't get indecisive. Maybe the message here is just do not look at something too much and do not get intoxicated or in other delirious states so you don't put yourself in a state of indecision, right? Because I think somebody else doesn't want someone to be in a state of indecision. They don't want a plan kind of scuppered and fucked up. They want to drink from the cup, right? They want to share. Yeah, to drink together is to mingle harmoniously. Just a bit of what the Temperance, is saying. And red as well here again. Red. Okay, so the Oracle card that came out with the Seven of Swords and the Two of Cups was Hell. It's returning light. This is talking about like disruption that opens divine portals. Hell was the Norse goddess of the underworld as well. Norse goddess of the underworld. So there's more. This is kind of related to that Pluto, the Plutonic sort of energy as well, right? The kind of this oppositional thing. The oppositional, which really generally actually could be if the sun is opposing Pluto and the sun is like a luminary and very bright, sort of bright world stagey kind of one, yeah, and Pluto is the sort of underworld, the hidden, the depth. It could just be like what is like, yeah, public and what is private. Right, so whatever there's like a plan that's private. It's like the tension between those two things. So the tension between someone's public and professional life and their private life, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, Hell's saying like, you know, death is simply a parallel dimension to life. So their energies, right, light and dark, they intermingle. It's both of them, right? Maybe it's saying they're going to mix better than somebody thinks, or they're going to have to, right? If the star's rising, there's going to be some, with the Two of Cups and the Temperance, there's going to be some intermingling that will be happening. Return to the world your fullest light. Returning light. I've written celestial dictomy. There was quite a lot about dictomy, right? It's like contrast, the sun and Pluto, everything. It's just like, I think there's energy at the moment that's very of that. It's very oppositional, and it will be showing up in some way, probably quite sort of distinctly in our kind of outer lives, and we're probably feeling it internally in our inner world as well, like this kind of like push and pull, this opposition might be what the whole, it might be having some people in two minds about something, or feeling that way, right? They feel like they're in two minds, or they feel like they're being pulled in different directions. There was something just really simply about a ladder here as well, and the idea of like pulling oneself up and out of. But I've also written exit strategy, a route, mode of exit, climb. And then I've written, I did get the word blight, which is have a detrimental effect on, right? But then I've written the stability of something. I'm not sure whether this is like a concern that someone has, or because this deck, these characters here, I've had this deck for a while and not used it all that much. And this, they really, with the last reading I did, I was really drawn to use it. And it's like the characters, they really want to help. That was a big thing in like the last reading. They really wanted to help. They wanted to be involved in the reading to help. Because they are carnival folks. So they have a very different way of being and living and viewing things. They want to help, and it was the same with this. But they're in it more in this reading. So they want to help with something. I don't know whether someone is sort of concerned about something, and so there is some reassurance that there's just a particular kind of oppositional push and pull thing going on at the moment, and it'll pass and it'll be okay. Or whether there is perhaps just know that there's a ladder and that you can pull yourself out of it, right? Which just suggests that there is a kind of, there would be an exit strategy, there would be something that was accessible and very doable. You could just kind of get yourself out of something. You wouldn't know that you have that option, right? But really, like having a detrimental effect on the stability of something, I think that's going back again to this, like, don't look too much. Because that being in two minds, right, that kind of doesn't necessarily suggest like instability, but it does in like a split, like a kind of a split, which is sort of indicated here with this Two of Wands as well, which was coming through as like a synapse. But like, don't worry, because There's a ladder, right? It's like the gap can be bridged. There's a ladder. Exit strategy. I think the stability is like thinking about, it's something, I mean, it's wands is this, and you've got the page of wands here, so it's like it likely is affiliated with them, it belongs to them in some way, something to do with them. I mean, right, sun and if you are kind of finding yourself, I don't know, it's like, it will pass if you're feeling a certain kind of way that's perhaps a bit more underworldy than luminary, right? It will pass. It will pass. Because it is something to do, the astrology, is why I'm talking about the astrology. But this idea of exit strategy, that you can climb out, it's like you can pull yourself out of something, so it doesn't blight, so it doesn't have a detrimental effect on the stability of something. Or if it's still this, like if somebody is concerned and saying like, don't look too much, because they are perhaps, right, I think I'm just repeating myself, they might be pointing out to somebody like, you have to climb out. Okay, we'll go on to the next cards because I'm not sure. So the final cards out were the Two of Wands, which was, yeah, it was like coming up with like firing up the synapses, electrical response through repose. Again, like the repose came through the previous reading as well. But it was just like all of this was glowing in my meditation. It's just like electric kind of signals. And this looks like a synapse where I like really sort of mega zoomed in. But all of these colours again, it was actually literally talking about like sort of biology and physiology and the pituitary gland and the pineal and the hypothalamus. So it's like the ladder. It's like, oh, I don't know. It's like, is there something, someone's sort of saying like, don't look too much because you don't want to be in two minds about something. It's like to try and prevent some kind of like, right, some sort of secret plan being ruined. But I think it's really just a secret plan of maybe somebody wanting to maybe get to know somebody away from this. It's something like that, right? That idea of right, okay. So it's something like something can literally fire up the synapses that will pull somebody, like that's the kind of okay, right. So I've put chemical communications, forming new ideas, perspectives, insights, messages and information. This info informs a choice. Is more always better? Right, I think somebody here, somebody, wherever you are if this is resonating, wherever you place yourself in this message. If you are somebody who is kind of in some way, shape or form trying to be telling somebody like, don't look too much, fair enough. Because this one is, I think, concerned that too much information or too much information from this kind of more impersonal source is going to inform a choice that somebody makes, right? Two of Wands can talk about choice as well, right? Like making a choice. So they want the choice to be informed on some truer impression or some kind of on like a less public impression. I don't know. Like, yes, forming new ideas, perspectives, insights, messages and information. But I suppose it has to be like the right information that's been received, right? Or that you're being exposed to. But at the same time, like, win-win. Yeah, so synapse, the word, late 19th century, from the Greek synapsis, from sun, which means together, and hapsis, which is joining, joining together. It's a choice about joining together, and a choice about joining together. I think there's a need to I think be careful about how much you're looking at, but how much someone is looking at, so it doesn't sort of blight, right? So it doesn't have a detrimental effect on like the stability of certainty, right? Somebody might be very certain about something, but if they look at too much and they see too much, the thing that they might lose is that stability of certainty. So it might inform a choice, right, in a detrimental way. It would have a detrimental effect. That's why it's been asked, like, is more always better? How much information do you need? How much of something do you need to see, right? Yeah, too much of a good thing, but two is spelt T-W-O. Too much of a good thing can be wonderful or surprisingly worse than just enough. So it is, it's like temperance is all about moderation as well. Speaks a lot about moderation, but also like mingling, intermingling again here. Yeah, contradictory information can overwhelm. It's just be careful about, like, not necessarily contradictory, although maybe, right? World stage, see a lot of contradictory stuff on the world stage, don't you? But it's like, yeah, don't be overwhelmed. Try not to overwhelm yourself so you kind of can't make a decision, so you can't make a choice that otherwise someone's kind of certain about, right? And Temperance, final card. Temperance, So I put releasing water pressure, and to do so nourishes the manifestation. The artistically rendered boob, the most offensive thing you're going to see on fucking YouTube. Hope they don't block my video. Fuck. Right, okay. Moderation of the water, easing up, but also moderation of the fire. Instill some balance, distill tensions. So, right, it could be, right, it's like seeing too much or too much information that's coming from some like more collective or bigger, wider one, right? It's like it's causing some tension, but you can get out of it. Get out of it easily enough, right? There's like a kind of an exit strategy sort of inbuilt. Okay, which could just be like stop, like right, stop looking at it so much. Still there. Right, so distill tensions, extract the essential meaning on most important aspects of. Right, so really, like really, if there's lots of something and someone's coming in here like, don't look too much, you'll know what to look at. It's like, don't look too much. Don't look at too much stuff. Just look at what's necessary, and then you're not going to get overwhelmed. There won't be the two being in two minds, and it won't blight any kind of stability or choice. Which, right, a choice, it could just be like, to keep moving forward with something or towards something or keep taking action. All of those kind of things. Could just be a small choice. But, right, we make choices all the time. Yeah, and I've written here, like, why do you feel discouraged? Why the tension? So it could, right, it could be just like overexposure or seeing too much, and it results in feeling discouraged about something. Discouraged. Why do you feel discouraged? Why the tension? And I've written something about, it's not that the understanding isn't accurate, but there's a misperception that is quite easily made. Taking a closer look could help when the mindset is right. Oh, okay, so this could be saying like this could be indicating a point where the mindset isn't right. The mindset isn't right to look at something or to look at too much of something. Mindset will align you with the perspective needed. Talking about alignment here. So actually the alignment is there, and it's all this really bliss stuff over here. Yep, synapses firing in a state of anxiety or tension does not necessarily bestow the truth. Yeah, man. And then because of the imagery in the card here, and the watering here, right? Commitment to bringing something into being sometimes requires a sort of pulling back or regulation. Allay worry, right? Allay worry. Titration of opposites, joy and sorrow, success and failure, love and aversion, fire and water. And through patience and gentleness is the knowledge of equanimity precipitated. Patience, the gentleness I was talking about here. Temperance is an energy very much of patience. Yeah, commitment to bringing something into being sometimes requires a sort of pulling back regulation. It's don't look too much, something, right? Contradictions can be weighed and jostled in conversation to pass through transcendence to synthesis. Harmonious solution is more valuable than the sum of the distinct parts. There's harmony, there is harmony here in communication, because the underlying energy for this deck was the Six of Coins. So more reciprocity here, harmony, balance. Yeah, the King of Cups was the underlying for the Carnival Falke as well. King of Cups, Two of Cups. This talks about someone with broad enough shoulders to sort of help you and help you bear burdens. Right. Broad shoulders. Is it this one? Broad shoulders. They can bear burdens. They perhaps don't want somebody else to be burdened, right? They're like, don't look too much. Got a secret plan where we can drink together and it's going to be all lovely. Like, don't put yourself inadvertently into a kind of darker headspace or a darker state. But if you do know that you can just climb out, they will perhaps pull you, they will assist you. It's an energy of somebody who can assist. They can maybe assist to pull you out. They would be happy to do that. Water. They would feel good to do that. Cover up the boob again. Go. Intermingling. Absolutely, intermingling. Harmonious solution. Right, there's this idea of like generative here as well. Guard the vessels of gestation, keep them balanced and abstain from intoxicants and delusive states. Be gentle in every way and aspire to temperance. So abstain from intoxicants. It doesn't have to be like actual chemical things. It could be, right, it could be this like don't look too much. So whatever it is that is regarding, I mean, it could be like you look too much. It kind of has a bit of an intoxication kind of vibe to it, right? Somebody really sort of wants somebody, I think, to keep a clear head and not get confused and not lose any kind of mental stability in terms of like maintaining. So they make a choice, right? So they make a choice amidst all this, because it's indicating just like a lot, right? A lot. Someone's trying to ensure like harmony and balance. Someone is trying to help somebody because they want them to be blissful and comfortable. Secret, possibly a bit of a secret Two of Cups. It's just like balance, right? That's kind of like I was saying, like reciprocity. That's like meeting someone that you're on a level with, or just like somebody that you're on a level with. Your vibe. Bit of what the leveling up is, maybe in somewhere like on it, right? Because this card came out first and was talking about like level up, and then there's level here. Doesn't mean anyone is kind of lower down than anyone else or anything like that. I think it's just a kind of, you know, ooh, buoyancy, the buoyancy that I mentioned right at the beginning here, this kind of, this lightness. Equanimity, equal. Right. Right, anything else real quick? Guard the vessels of gestation. But yeah, there is like an idea of pulling back, regulation, and the manifestation or the potential, whatever is coming into being, is being well watered here. It's a verdant little mound. Don't worry about it. Right, and then the final thing, rune card was Cealc, Mortar, anchored. So there's the 3 and 4 was like 7. It was bringing to mind the Chariot in the tarot, which is about like balance and control and movement, right? Movement, like balanced movement. But some of what's on this card that I've chosen to write here: immovable memories of moments that are no more, extraneous yet present, evidencing times gone, lives past, moments fallen. Dig out, dislodge, recalibrate, recast, recreate, celebrate the unconstructed, unanchored. Hot air balloon, unanchored. Unanchored. You can climb out. Patience, waiting for something to come into being in here. Cover up the boob. There you go. I mean, with Temperance, I feel like there's an emphasis on like recalibration, right? If some kind of decisiveness or certainty has been affected by some kind of possible overexposure, or just looking at something too much, or looking at too many, there's a need to calibrate. There's the kind of recalibrate. There's a need to do that. It's because somebody over here wants that. They want you to be careful. I think it's kind of they want you to be careful. Like taking care of yourself, yes. Okay. Right. Yeah, feeling and sensing. Water's force is cumulative and persistent. Water's force is cumulative and persistent. Right? Remember that. Cumulative and persistent. Okay. There is also, I'm not going to go through them, but there's an Ace of Cups, and there is something here about step deliberately with well-intentioned thoughts of love, baby. Yeah. And this was interesting because of the parting of the Red Sea. On the split was this Godmouth card. To rise up is to speak up, to give song to ancestral codes of healing, nestled in all our vessels of the world's soul. Reach forward and commune. There might be something, Godmouth, I don't really not familiar with like the Bible, but there might be something in the book of Exodus. I mean, there's 3 and 4. There's 3 and 4 here. 3 and 4. And 3 and 4. 34. I've just been talking about here. God mouth, and then there's like daring you. Is God daring you? Yeah, take a step. Thoughts of love. Keep love in mind. Keep love in mind. Look after yourselves. All right, bless. Happy new moon again. Take care. Thank you for watching. Yeah, okay, bye bye.